The Master Artist. Adapted from The Master Artist by Carole Moore. Monsieur Seigneur-l'Abbé had been a master artist of his day, and in 1392 was ready to retire when in the month of May Giuliano Bartoli, a rich Italian patron, sent for him and on his arrival said, "I'd like a portrait of myself on my banquet room wall. Could you paint it? The wall is 20 feet tall." Monsieur l'Abbé looked thoughtful for a moment and then shook his head. "I'm sorry, but I don't think so. I'm ready to retire, so I'm not available for hire." However, seeing the disappointment in Signor Bartoli's eyes, he continued, "Well, there's a possibility if you think you can allow me to explore the limits of my abilities. Not for money, mind you, but for food and a bed instead. You need not even pose, because my memory is excellent. Already I can see your portrait in my mind. But I insist, Signor Bartoli, that while I work, your portrait must stay private, even from you." This is strange, thought the patron, but he also thought about how highly the artist had been recommended. "Of course," he said, "anything you wish, but I insist at least upon paying you something for your effort. Let's draw up a contract." Now a glint came to Monsieur l'Abbé's eyes as he gazed upon that 20-feet wall and thought of all that space. Such a wonderful space to give imagination wings. Because, unknown to Signor Bartoli, or anyone else for that matter, for all of his career of 45 years, Monsieur l'Abbé had yearned to paint in his own way. And what way was that? Certainly not the style of Byzantine or of Proto-Renaissance. No, Monsieur Seigneur-l'Abbé had hungered to break free of restraints. But the guild, his craft and livelihood, would never have allowed it, so he followed their rules, although he was never proud of it. Of course, he didn't reveal this to Signor Bartoli. Signing the contract, they sealed the agreement. Immediately, the master artist threw a high curtain in front of the wall, a curtain through which Signor Bartoli couldn't see at all. He tried to peek, but Monsieur l'Abbé insisted on total privacy for his artistic techniques. A week passed. "How is it coming along?" asked the hopeful Signor Bartoli. Answering him from behind the curtain, Monsieur l'Abbé said, "It's coming along quite well. You know, at the age of 8, I was apprentice to the great Ambrogio Lorenzetti. I could never dishonor his name. He taught me the art of grinding pigment, laying plaster, sometimes slowly, sometimes faster. He taught me how to draw, and most important, not to hurry. Signor Bartoli, a masterpiece takes a while at least." Reluctantly, Signor Bartoli withdrew. A month passed. "How is it coming along?" Signor Bartoli asked. "It's coming along nicely," said Monsieur l'Abbé, again from behind the curtain. Along with his words came the strange sounds of swooshing, clanking, and slapping. "You know, you're fortunate that I am painting your portrait. Only buon fresco will need 4 coats of lime plaster. It's the best plaster process I ever saw. Signor Bartoli, it will last forever, but it's a time-consuming endeavor. Sighing deeply, the patron withdrew again. Just how long would this take? Another 3, 4 months passed, and finally half a year went by. Signor Bartoli, the patron, marched in, demanding to see his portrait. "You must be finished by now, and today I will see it," he shouted, shaking with frustration. Stepping from behind the cloth, as though surprised by such anger, Monsieur l'Abbé said calmly, "That's fine. You needed only to request it." And he pulled aside the 20-feet curtain. Giuliano Bartoli stood for a minute, and then his mouth fell open. His eyes turned red, and he grabbed what few hairs he had left on his head. He did a little hop, and then a twitch, and his eyebrows contorted as though bewitched. Giuliano Bartoli obviously did not like his portrait, not a bit. Giuliano Bartoli was enraged. "How absurd! How disgusting! What does this mean? You'll not receive 1 florin. Do you hear? You're not an artist, maybe a thief or a madman. Get out of my sight. You leave my house tonight, or I'll have you thrown out." So what had Monsieur l'Abbé drawn that was wrong? He couldn't see it. He'd fussed and fixed for so long. It was his 20-foot-tall masterpiece. He wasn't sorry that he had drawn to his heart's content, his way, no matter what anybody could say. Perhaps his patron couldn't tolerate his cubist expression, but Pablo Picasso would have been proud of him. If truth be told, Monsieur l'Abbé wasn't crazy. Not at all. He'd simply been born 500 years too early.